I want to say a few things about human-robot interaction. And so let's start out with the poster that we have seen during day one. So it's one of the big 5 ideas in AI. Again, we looked at perception, we looked at representation and reasoning, we looked at learning, and we have discussed societal impact to a certain degree. In some of your presentations, we're also discussing these sort of things. And then there's natural interaction. So the project that we're working on is about human-robot collaboration. So in this first part, or in this first video, I simply want to say a few things about the difference between natural interaction and human-robot collaboration, because both of them involve humans and robots. Again, the system that I'm working on with some of your fellow students is aimed at natural interaction in the sense that we're using 2 modalities. We're using gesture and speech to make it natural to communicate with a robot. However, the focus of HRI is a little bit different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a video that I also hooked up on today's page. So these are from Kismet, which is a very early computer in this area of human-robot interaction. There's an official website, and then there's a site with some videos. And so I'm going to show you, well, one of these videos. And so this video was made by Dr. Cynthia Brazil. I think she probably was a PhD student at the time when the video was made. She's now a professor in the very famous MIT Media Lab. So let's have a quick look at this video where she talks a little bit about what HRI is. In particular, it focuses sort of like on the emotional side of interactions. So let's see what she has to say.
Question I get asked a lot by the media is, what does it mean for a robot to have emotions, or, does Kismet have emotions like we do? And I'm always very careful to say no. It's not. It's very different. But of course, the emotions that have been programmed into the robot have been modeled, computationally modeled, after what we know about human emotions. So I would say it's more of a simplification and a subset of what our full-fledged human emotions really are. One very critical point of Kismet is that its responses have to be well matched to what people expect and to what's familiar to people. By doing so, we make the robot's behavior understandable intuitively to people so they know how to react to it, shape the responses to it. By following ideas and theories from psychology, from developmental psychology, from evolution, from all of the study of natural systems, and putting these theories into the robot has the advantage of making the robot's behavior familiar because it's essentially lifelike. It parallels that of natural systems. For Kismet, the emotions promote its state of well-being. So to serve to bring it into contact with things that are good for it, that it needs to be brought into contact with at the appropriate time, and to serve to bring it away from those things that are harmful to it, or that it's not necessarily beneficial for it to be in contact with at that time. So a classic example would be something like a flee response or an escape response, where if there's a threatening stimulus, in this case for Kismet, might be something like a toy that's moving very quickly around the robot's face, could cause damage to the robot. It could bump sensors or something, right? So it could be interpreted as a genuine threat, a threatening sort of stimulus. And that type of thing could elicit a fleeing response, which is a very simple emotional response, but serves to basically close the eyes and turn the robot's head away from the threatening situation. Kismet actually evaluates all the incoming stimulus with respect to, is this beneficial to me or not? Is it going to satiate a drive that I need to satiate or not? Is it arousing or not? Is it rousing? Is it soothing? So there's multiple measures upon which Kismet's trying to evaluate a particular stimulus. That's going in to essentially evoke these certain emotional circuits that cause a facial expression to mirror that current state. There are certain things, such like with a young infant. Let's say you give it something that tastes bad. There's a disgust response, which is a very kind of low-level reaction, which is the child basically just pushes the thing out of its mouth. Now, Kismet doesn't eat, but you can imagine that it has a bunch of different drives that it's trying to satiate. It has a drive to interact with people, which we call a social drive. It has a drive to interact with toys, which we call a stimulation drive. And it has a fatigue drive, so over time it needs to rest. And you can imagine that if the robot really wants to find a person's face and interact with the person, but you're giving it this toy all the time, Well, that's an undesired stimulus. It's not necessarily a threatening stimulus, but it's an undesired stimulus. And so the robot essentially rejects it. It gives this kind of disgusted, like, I don't really want that kind of expression, which kids do all the time. And essentially that can be treated as a social cue from the adult playing with the robot as, oh, well, it doesn't want the toy. Do you want this toy? What do you want? And then finally you come across, oh, it wants to talk to me. And you just show it your face, and then it's happy. Because happy, the face is a desired stimulus. That's success of acquiring a desired stimulus. So that changes the emotional state into this other state, which could be this happy kind of process. And the robot engages you. So by giving you this expressive cue, which is a fundamental social signal, the robot's naturally and intuitively adapted your behavior to benefit it through the social interaction, through the world.
All right, very good. So just to, again, reiterate, HRI is kind of focused on emotional responses when interacting with the robot. And in the second video, I will also talk about a few domain areas where these things are being used right now. Again, this is some very pioneering work in this area. I'll talk to you later. Bye.